the sights. I won the bet from betting weekly. Because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird. Don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bed River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It's Wednesday, the 5th of March. I hope everyone's doing really well. We've had loads of comments even before the show has started today. Welcome in you all. Steve Wyss here with Jack Wright. You're looking really snazzy, Jack.
Snazzy indeed, mate. It's tough competition. I've seen the yellow jackets that you and Nigel are sporting. I'm not that kind of glitterati. I'm not that royalty within because we win to get such an item in my wardrobe. So I've had to make do. And also, I was on with Doug on Friday with yourself, wasn't I? And he, bearing in mind I'm the current holder of the best dressed handicapper because we win for 2 years running. I noticed I've got some competition there, so I had to up my game. And it is Champions League night, as we know.
I do like that white suit, I must say, Jack. Welcome in, everyone. How did everyone get on yesterday in the Champions League? I've got to be honest, it was a bit of a struggle for me. Clement Turpin saved me with the undercards in the Real Madrid game, but in terms of the outcomes, I thought it was really tough. Well done to all the teams that won. Aston Villa with a great win away. Rode their luck a little bit, but fair play to the Villa and Real Madrid with a really big win as well, and Arsenal. Obviously, with a huge one. What were your takeaways from last night in the Champions League, Jack?
My takeaway was I drew the long straw and didn't have to go on last night's show. That's my takeaway. It's my best win of the day, really, to be fair. So a real tough slate last night. And this one I'm looking forward to getting stuck into. To be honest, I was quite fortunate. I had a lot of my bread and butter to get stuck into yesterday. Then I had a lot of English soccer action. So I could delve down in the depths of the EFL and pick up some winners there. And I said the two English clubs certainly in the Champions League last night, I would have read completely wrong. So, yeah, I ain't going to lie and say I smashed it. I would have struggled. So luckily I kept my powder quite dry knowing I'd be on here today.
There was a lot of talk beforehand about the under trend in the round of the 16 first legs, not just on this show, but I saw loads of, tipsters, bettors, analysts mentioning it, but we didn't really get that on the field. I mean, I watched all the games and I've got to be honest, I thought, ignore expected goals and stuff. I actually thought pretty much every game was pretty open. Like teams wanted to play football and give it a good go. It wasn't tight. It wasn't cagey. There was some shambolic defending in places. Is that immediately? I'm thinking, are we in a new era of football here? Has the league phase just made teams play differently compared to what they did before? Because the playoff round was reasonably high for goals as well. So, but is it just one night of action? Is it too much of a small sample size? Do you know what are your thoughts on the goals trend there?
Yeah, look, when we look across the major leagues in Europe, especially, we know that there are sides that can rack up lots of goals, and the leagues themselves are generally quite high. There are the odd exceptions to that. I think we've got a couple of them in on the fixtures tonight, so we'll see what we do with those. But I think it's tough to call the trends at the moment. As I say, they certainly seem to have changed a little bit over the last 18 months, 2 years, where maybe it's just the analysis has just got so much better that people have just been able to identify the weaknesses a lot easier, a lot better. And these sides are so well drilled, especially at this level right now, so well drilled that they can take advantage of it. And, there is still a disparity like we've seen obviously last night with Eredivisie versus Arsenal. Arsenal struggling for goals and goal scorers, racking up 7 away from home. So, we'll see if Feyenoord can what they can achieve tonight.
Yeah, enter Dr. PSV, really, as far as Arsenal were concerned there. I mean, there's so many comments in welcoming everyone, but I will go through some of the early ones who've got in. Villafan20, well done yesterday, great win. He fancies Liverpool to score first half tonight. Happened in 10 of the last 10 of the last 11 matches. That's at -120. Paul Laguna says Inter -1 is a lock. Feyenoord have a lot of players injured. We're going to be talking about that very soon. Simon Agbon's Liverpool winner, Mo Salah to score. And Simon Holden agrees with that play. He fears that play is a green light. And yeah, we're going to go through all the 4 games. And stay tuned at the end as well. I've got some exclusive WTA match picks from Nigel Seeley and also one from Rory Jiwani. So over there in Indian Wells. So we've got that later on as well. Before we go about the matches, we've got to use and have a look at the draw bracket. That is the route to the final of the Champions League this season. It's like a tennis draw now. We know the route that everyone has got to go through to get there on each side of the draw. I mean, we might as well. I mean, Arsenal are in the quarterfinals. Let's be brutally honest. Arsenal are going to be playing Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid in that particular section. The other matches yesterday, it's still, up for debate, up for grabs, isn't it? Pretty tight there. Yeah. In which case now the odds for the futures here, Arsenal now joint third favourites at +500. That's really interesting to me because Real Madrid are the favourites. That could be a matchup in the quarterfinals. So one of them would go if that's the case. Barcelona have been cut into +375 without even playing a minute. Liverpool, I think, have slightly drifted out. I mean, where would your money be now? I asked Nigel yesterday where his free $50 bet would be on the outright. I mean, first of all, Arsenal, is it an overreaction or is that deserved because they're effectively already in the quarterfinals?
Yeah, they're going to get trimmed, aren't they? Because they are through. It's not our boldest call to suggest that they're going to be in the next round. So they are going to be trimmed, of course they are. But as you say, we know who they've got, so that should sort of temper it a little bit to think that that's a real tough fixture. And I'll be honest, whoever they play in the next round, I would back them to beat Arsenal over 2 legs, which would probably lead me towards thinking there's a bit of value there to be had with Atletico Madrid at 33-1 plus 3,300, given they're only a goal down with the home tie to go. I think there's some scope in that for certain for me. And as I say, well, we'll see what happens. Obviously, I think I like what we're seeing from Liverpool. Paris Saint-Germain have been sensational, certainly since the turn of the calendar year. So, I think, look, if I'm picking one at the prices, I like a nice little long shot there, like of an outsider. I think Atletico Madrid is still a lively outsider at 33-1.
Yeah, I thought that looked too big. And I think that's a little bit of an overreaction. That was a really high-quality game last night. The technical level of both teams is absolutely sensational. And I don't think Arsenal will, even if Saka's back for that quarter-final, I don't think Arsenal will get near it's not near. I don't think they'll get past either Madrid teams, I think is the best way of saying it myself. Some notable winners yesterday and losers. Over 2.5 goals, 15 grand on that. Real Madrid Atletico, that came in. Same bet, 10 grand on Club Brugge Villa over 2.5 goals. That was a live bet at +185. That particular better was cheering when the own goal went in. What a way to cash a big winner that is.
Yeah. Nice. We take anyway, Steve.
We do. A loser in the championship, Millwall on the money line, 8 grand against Bristol City. Nigel Seeley did warn Millwall backers yesterday.
Yeah, called that one right.
Yeah, and this is, I was talking back stage here, a good point from Troy, because we get a lot of different supporters in this in the chat that come in, quite a lot of Villa fans. But yeah, who do you support? If you want to reveal who you support in world football, it might be more than one team. Do put it in the chat. Who do you follow and support? Maybe there is generally some neutral people out there. And if you are neutral, you need to get a team. Okay, let's get into the betting then. For the first match, it's the early kickoff. This is 12:45 Eastern. We go to the Netherlands, to Rotterdam. Feyenoord against Inter. Feyenoord +510. on the money line. Actually been cut into plus 475 now. I've been a bit of money for Feyenoord. Into minus 177 on the money line at the time of going live, and the ties are plus 320 now. Over 2.5 goals, minus 118. Now, the last time that we talked about a Feyenoord home game in the Champions League, it was against AC Milan. I mean, I never expected Feyenoord to be getting through that tie. Let's first of all talk about the injury crisis that Feyenoord have got, because it's been doing the rounds on socials everywhere. 12 players out minimum. A lot of these players have been missing for quite some time, though, Jack. So, it's not as much of a crisis as you might think, but there's a lot of players out. Is that factored into the price?
Yeah, I think obviously with the noise as well, there's going to be an initial bit of price on it, but the public are going to get involved. The more and more it gets shared around, the more it becomes a wave of momentum, really, that will go and say that people want to be fading Feyenoord and siding with Inter as a result of it. So I think it will be there's a little bit already baked into it, but a little bit reactive as well.
I personally think Inter are a lot better than AC Milan. I think Inter are the best side in Serie A, and for me, I know Napoli are doing well this year and Juventus are doing well, but Inter, I think, are a class above those, actually, really, when on their day. So, they should come here, and they should, over the 2 legs, they certainly should go through. Do I want to bet them at minus 177 in the first leg? I'm not sure. I think they'll win. Reminds me a bit of the Dortmund game yesterday. I think they'll win, but I didn't want to bet them. I think minus 175 that Dortmund were. What would I want on Inter? Probably minus 150. So it's close. It's getting close. Handicaps are interesting. I get why the minus 1 might have some appeal, but I'm leaving this game alone myself. I think it's a tough one, but you have got a bet for it.
Yeah, we're going in again. We're relentless. I'm going straight in with an unders play here, really, or both teams to score. No, I couldn't quite make my mind up on which way to go. Both teams to score no. Last time I checked was minus 124, under 2.5 goals at minus 106. I'd probably side with the both teams to score no side of things here. Inter Milan have basically said the trouble with a first leg, especially away from home, is Inter Milan would probably sign for a 0-0 right now, wouldn't they? Thinking that they've got more than enough capabilities to take Feyenoord back to Italy and go and get the win. So that would be a concern to me, backing them at such a massive minus money. I think for Feyenoord, the reason I'm going with the bet that I've going with him, so both seem to score no. I think with Feyenoord, they got a little bit of a alarm call, didn't they, on the first match day where they got whipped 4-0 at home by Leverkusen. And I think possibly, given, again, we've talked about Eredivisie and the fact that they've got those dominant sides in it, you just get into a trend, you get into a habit. We've seen it with, say, Celtic when they've come into Europe, where they go and play a very similar style, front foot, aggressive, outscore the opponent, and realise that when they take that step up in quality, they get turned over. And I think that could be an issue, and say that might well have been an alarm call. You see, they lost that 4-0, but after that, they beat both Bayern Munich and AC Milan on home soil 2-0. So they tightened right up and got the results they needed to get through to the stage they're at the moment. Yes, they went then. The 2 games that were in the middle of that, Sparta and Salzburg, was a bit more toe-to-toe, because they thought, well, they are one again. They're a sort of similar level or lesser light, and they can just go and outscore them and go into a game where there's plenty of goals. This was the case. So I think that this one will be a lot tighter. I think Feyenoord will be wary of Inter Milan, what they can do. But of course, Inter Milan's defensive record is absolutely crazy. Only conceded 1 goal in that league phase, which is just absolutely bonkers to be able to do that across that campaign. You said there was only 3 goals in their away fixtures, so they've kept it extraordinarily tight. They lost 1-0 to Leverkusen, and then they got 2 1-0 wins themselves. So both teams to score no landed in all their away games, and I think this could well be another one. I think they can keep Feyenoord at bay. Of course, the main problem for Feyenoord, you talked about the injuries, but the one aspect that I would suggest is going to be a big problem for them. I know they coped with it against Milan, but of course they sold their main striker, Santiago Jimenez. They sold him to AC Milan, so they're without him, of course, for this one. So that would be the concern there. As you say, 2 or 3 of their key players or their regular players that are out amongst that long injury list, and I think Inter can go and get the job done. Probably, if not, take a 0-0 back to Italy and get it done in the second leg.
Both teams score no is the pick here
Yes.
for you, Jack. And I mean, I don't disagree. I think if I had to put a correct score on the match, I would be looking at 1-0 to Inter or 2-0 to Inter. Someone's mentioned there Dumfries, maybe some value tonight, born in Rotterdam. It's very. I mean, DeMarco's missing on the other side for Inter. That is a big loss, worth mentioning. Actually, I think. I mean, him along with Wirtz are probably the best two players in the world in their very defined position. But Dumfries is going to be a key man for Inter. Robin van Persie, of course, is in charge now at Feyenoord. That has changed, I think, since he wasn't in charge, was he, for the Milan games? He's only just taken charge.
They drew 0-0 at the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah.
So the one thing, again, if you're looking at Feyenoord, the last two of their last three at in Eredivisie, they've drawn 0-0 as well. So, both teams to score no is quite prolific from them. 5 of their last 7 across all competitions, as that bet has landed. And, you kind of don't need to say it with Inter Milan, but 7 of the last 10, that bet has landed as well for Inter across all competitions. So it's a strong play based on that price. I think it's a lively runner, and someone's commented saying it's always a nervous watch. Obviously, up until the last minute, you're always in danger, even if you look like you're holding a strong hand. But I think that's the way I would go into it. That's my official play for that one.
Yeah, both teams to score no is at -124 now with Bet Rivers. 80% of the money on the money line is on Inter Milan. No real surprise there. 88% of the tickets. 71% of the over-under money is on the under. So the under backers are not deterred after last night. They are coming back in hard on this game. So I've got somewhere, there's got to be a 0-0 or a 1-0, I think, in these matches. I don't really see it coming in Paris. I don't really see it coming in Benfica, which leaves 2 games. And this, I think, could be a low-scoring game. But Feyenoord have been very difficult for me to predict, so I'm not personally getting involved. I mean, we've got to mention the home advantage. They do have a big home advantage. Nigel Seeley mentioned this the last time that we talked about a home game. The city itself might be not the most attractive place to go this time of year.
We've been there. We've been there already.
We have been there.
We've built bridges with Rotterdam.
There is no doubt about it. It's a very uncomfortable place to visit for the opposition.
Yeah,
the fans really get, I say, behind their own players, but they really intimidate the opponents as well.
Yeah,
it's a bear pit of a stadium, the Kuip. And there's no doubt they do deserve, sort of a decent home field advantage for that, but Inter are much the better team for me, especially with these injuries. Okay, let's move on to a gigantic game in Paris. Paris Saint-Germain against Liverpool, and I mean, this is such a taste. This is Liverpool's reward for winning the group stage, Jack. A match against PSG. PSG plus 150 to win the first leg. Liverpool plus 170 now. Over 2.5 goals is at -175. This is just mouth-watering. And you sent me over your bets today, and I said I was hoping you were going to put me off PSG, because I've got to be honest, that PSG are playing some unbelievable soccer right now. I can't believe what I'm seeing, that they are absolutely relentless. This started at just the start of 2025, really. They're not just winning games, they're absolutely pummeling teams in both domestically and in Europe. And they're not taking their foot off the accelerator. Historical PSG teams in matches in between Europe, they just labour to 1-0 wins in France, or a 0-0, or even lose matches. Luis Enrique is just making them go hard every single match. It's like getting them in the routine and the repetitive sort of rhythm to be this monster. So PSG draw no bet at home to Liverpool. I like Liverpool, what they're doing this season, but I just think the French side are playing unbelievable right now, Jack. I mean, what do you think? How do you think Liverpool are going to approach this first leg?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to try and correct you there. You are, alongside James, our expert in Ligue 1, and the proof is in the pudding there for you guys. But I totally agree. I think one of the hardest things in soccer, we've seen it with sides that take the foot off the gas either in a game or in a season, or say rotate heavily for a cup competition. And you've hit the nail on the head there. They've just said, no, we're going full flat out. We're going to win games by as many goals as we possibly can. We're going to take no prisoners and smash sides off the park. And we saw it in the last round when they qualified, didn't we? Where they were 3-1 up against Brest, and you thought, well, this game's kind of, they'll manage this one out. They'll probably get through. But they just went and, like I said, they scored a couple of early goals, and they just didn't stop, did they? 7-0 was incredible to see from them. So, like, the confidence is high. And again, you look at the weekend, that's a tricky tie, isn't it? Lille at home.
Well, this really surprised me, Jack, because I meant it was one of my leans on the Euro show. It was under 3.25 goals. My theory, and most teams looking ahead just go easy, don't they? Don't get injured, don't, ease off.
Yep.
First half, honestly, it could have been 5 or 6. And like Leo didn't know what had hit them, but PSG were relentless, and he started pretty much his strongest 11. Again, I didn't get it, but maybe this is what they need in Paris. Maybe they need this sort of manager to keep them. Yep. It's like keep whipping a horse almost, isn't it? Keeping them
honest.
Yeah. So, yeah.
4-0 up at half time, wasn't it? As you say, it could have been more than that. So, absolute fair play there. And they've obviously reinvented Dembele, a player that kind of was a bit of an enigma, probably a little bit in the shadow of Mbappe, although I think the two get on extremely well, don't they? And, you could quite easily would have seen that possibly PSG could have kind of slipped away once he's gone and made that move, that like much talked about move away. But Dembele's grasped it and said, right, no, I'm going to be the main man now. And wow, just complete transformation, ruthless, just the numbers he's sticking up right now are absolutely mind-blowing. So this game is going to be an absolute, you talk it up, but I can't see this being anything other than an absolute joy to watch. I think it's going to be phenomenal entertainment.
I mean, the two bets that I like here, PSG draw no bet, and also over 3 Asian goals for me, -103. 12 of the last 15 PSG games in all comps have gone over 2.5 goals. Now, with Liverpool, you've got to be very careful of the 2-0 win. They've had 10 2-0 wins this season, that's a remarkable stat. 3 1-0 wins and 6 other wins to 0. So Liverpool's defense has been surprisingly strong this season. That's the difference between Slot and Klopp, isn't it? That he's been able to rein them in. But I just cannot see them keeping a clean sheet here. If they keep a clean sheet here in Paris, that'd be really, really impressive.
I think that they have done a lot over the season, and like that 2-0 is a bit of a default. They hit 2 or 3 quite early in the season, and it was a good train to get on board with, and is cashed, as you've now mentioned, like double-figure times over the course of the campaign, which is phenomenal. But they have shown times defensively when they can be got at. They can be rattled a little bit. We've seen it before with Van Dijk. He looks pristine. He's a Rolls Royce, but sometimes you just get a player or two that can get under his skin and ruffle things up a little bit. And this PSG front line, and also the backup they've got in those attacking midfield areas as well, are going to be coming at Liverpool with absolute full guns. And I think also that, in a way, Liverpool won't be too bothered about that, because they know they've got that like explosiveness on the counter attack. So it kind of lends itself to being an absolute tremendous watch as well. But, and I say the one, if you're looking at a little bit of a chink in this Liverpool armour, it is their away form, which has slipped a little bit over the course of the campaign. The last 9, they've equally shared results: 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 ties, and 3 losses. So, there are elements in there. Admittedly, a couple of those defeats came when they rotated their side, but, obviously they went to Plymouth and lost. So there's a couple in there that we've got that ability. You think, well, PSG can go at it. And again, this is another scenario where Liverpool probably would sign for a single goal defeat in Paris to go to Anfield, and we know what that place is like on a European night.
Yeah, and I mean, quite a few people in the comments saying that Trent and Robertson are going to struggle today against the PSG attackers, and that could well happen. Dembele, he's even starting to win me over a little bit. I still think his finishing is very predictable. Like, if a top class goalkeeper will be able to predict his finishing, he just cuts inside and aims for that corner. Alisson is a very streetwise keeper, so watch out for some Alisson saves today. But Dembele will get a really high XG chance that he probably should put away at some point. To be honest with you, Nish says they're PSG shots and corners. Efri Briovsky is bringing a ladder bet out. PSG team totals 1.5 and 2.5. It's funny we mentioned ladders here, Jack, because the Jack Wright ladder is going to come out. You are looking into the shots on target market for the match, but also PSG. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I watched it. It's kind of been bet over the course of the day, which is always disappointing when you're about to come on a show and you identify something, and then in a way you go, "Oh, that's quite nice," because it's kind of reflecting on what you're thinking. But then also you go, "Well, I want to be sharing it with the guys that are going to be joining here." First of all, my mainline bet would be the same as yours, PSG Tino bet. But over 9.5 total shots on target was the one that I looked at, minus 134. The last time I checked, it was kind of not far off. Plus money. It was just a shade of minus money when I identified it last night. But as I said, that's something that really caught my attention in a game where you expect both sides to probably go for it. And the over 4.5 PSG shots are at minus 148, and you can go to 6.5 at plus 240. Again, money come for those as well. But say you look at the the two sides, PSG unbeaten in 22 fixtures across all competitions. They've scored 40 goals in winning their last 10 successive games as well. And Liverpool have racked up 100 goals under Arne Slot this season from 43 games. So, you just think that they've got so much attacking talent and so much good attacking talent that a lot of these shots are going to be hitting the target. So you look, say, with PSG, 56 shots on target in 5 home games in this competition. It's an average of 11.2, so it clears what we need easily anyway as an average. And the ones that caught my eye is, well, of course, they've contributed 9 in their last 3. Now, against Brest, you probably would say that's par for the course to a certain degree, but they also did it against Manchester City and Atletico Madrid. And that Atletico Madrid one is one that you think if they had 9 shots on target against Atleti, then they're really in good shape. So as far as Liverpool are concerned, 49 shots on target in their 4 league phase Champions League away fixtures. That's an average of 12.25, so even higher. And the important part of this, when you're backing any overs, of course, is that you want both sides to come to the party. Their own totals, they've had 11, 8, 7 and 5 across their 4 road trips. So really good stuff there. And they conceded 6, 5 and 5 versus Leipzig, Girona and PSV. So again, action at both ends. And so I think this one should be a real good one. So for that shots on target as the prop angle, PSG Tino bet is my my mainline selection.
Yeah, I mean, you say over 9.5 shots on target there for the match, 4.5 and 6.5 shots on target simply for PSG on the ladder there. Maninda and Danny on about Dominic Szoboszlai shots on target and also a foul. Minus 110, minus 120 there, Szoboszlai's shot. It's going to be the sort of game.
So many players. There's so many players in this game that you want to get involved in. Szoboszlai is a player that is my go-to player for Liverpool. He goes a little bit under the radar, or has been. Shots on target, fouls, tackles. He does the lot for Liverpool. So, he's now been scoring goals in the last 2 or 3 games as well. So, of course, we haven't even mentioned Salah yet, have we, as far as our commentary is concerned. And
no.
You can cash on him as far as his goal scoring or goal and assist is concerned. And there's so many angles in this, so they all lead into those forward players. So this better not be the 0-0 that you've hinted at.
Well, I was going to say, watch this be 0-0 now and be like the drabbest affair where it's caging, no one wants to lose it. I've seen it happen before in soccer. It's not surely going to happen, is it? But I'm going to mention Mo Salah now because there's a house special regarding him here. Mo Salah or Luis Diaz to score the first goal in this match. That is at plus 220 if you like either of those players to score the first goal. I did look actually at anytime goal scorer prices here, and Salah was plus 165 early with Bet Rivers. To compare that to Dembele, this is a sign of the times. Dembele was plus 115. On what planet a few months ago would you have ever expected that? In this game, but
have you got the Dembele stats there for the people that aren't quite all over the league and stuff like you are?
No, I've not got the exact stats for Dembele, but
I have.
They are impressive. Go on, then reel them off. Let's let him have his moment here.
I didn't want to ride roughshod across your turf, Steve, like too much, when we're talking here. But 13 appearances across all competitions for Dembele. This obviously, 13 appearances across all competitions in 2025. 18 goals he scored, and across the season as a whole, 18 in 22 league earned fixtures. And the key one for me is he scored 6 in 8 Champions League fixtures as well. And that's as many goals as he scored in the last 5 years combined in the Champions League. So, I know you said that he's got a kind of predictable way about his shooting, but it's been finding the back of the net this season, whereas over the last few seasons, it was about 10 or 15 rows back, wasn't it? So a similar approach, but a little bit more accurate this time round. So, I think Dembele to score plus 115. Decent, over 1.5 shots on target, minus 106, which has landed in 4 of his last 5 Champions League appearances. So, him v Salah. Let's get head to head. This be, it'd be very interesting.
For me, over 3 Asian goals, minus 103. That'd be my second best bet of the day. My best bet of the day is coming in the Bayern game. Draw no bet on PSG as well. You like that draw no bet PSG, don't you, Joe?
I do. Yeah. For me, it's the one.
There's so many options. I mean, it feels like in the comments, just going through the comments, it's split down the middle. Was quite a lot of it like PSG, was quite a lot of it like Liverpool, as you might expect with the actual odds on the game. To qualify, Liverpool are minus 225 here, PSG plus 165. Do you think that plus 165 on PSG offers a bit of temptation?
You've got to say that how they're playing at this moment in time. Yeah, what price did you say Liverpool was? Sorry,
minus 225.
Yeah, I don't think there's that disparity between the two sides. I really don't. Obviously Liverpool brilliant in the league phase, which has probably led to that. And PSG obviously needed that qualifier to get through. But the form they've got at the moment and the goals they've got in them, and as we've said right at the start of this, the relentless nature about how they're going about games. You've got to say, if you again given a free bet, it can only go in one place. As well as Liverpool have done, and as much as Liverpool can go to Paris tonight and get a win, and then go and get the job done in Anfield. So absolutely,
we're getting a lot of comments about James Bond, Jack here. Quite a likeliness that you have to him, and we're getting all sorts of great comments going through about. could be Blofeld with Kit Kat and Goldfinger's even come out as well. Loving the comments, guys. Kit Kat's looking at me now over in his corner. He's not been on a show for a while, actually. Maybe he might turn up at some point.
Well, he's another one who's got me worried. He was. What was it? Was it one of the last times we were on where he's with his? The Liverpool Everton game, wasn't it? Where he went with his 2 red cards that were very, very close.
Some other house specials to mention today. Over 43.5 total corners across the Champions League games is available at plus 210. Not something I really get involved with too often, the corners, but if you like that over, then get on over 43.5. And the goal one, me and Nigel completely dismissed this special yesterday. The line was 11.5 and it cruised over. Over 13.5 total goals tonight is the line. Plus 150 is a house special. Are you over? Are you going to take that over, Jack? 13.5 goals on all 4 Champions League games.
Unders for me.
There's
2 games I like for unders. Yeah, there's 2 games I like for unders tonight, and so I'd go there.
Right, okay.
And I tell you what, everyone in the comments, we love you and like absolutely sensational stuff for it. But I'm gonna have to stop reading them while you're talking about important stuff because they just always make me chuckle. And So
he's getting Meninda's getting Jamie Redknapp, Liverpool Spice Boy vibes. I do remember that, Meninda. Yeah, the Spice Boys turn up for the FA Cup final. White.
That didn't go so well.
Didn't go so well for them. Okay.
I was laughing at the Dembele hat trick and you to call him overrated still as the banker of the night.
Yes, it will come out at some point. I still wouldn't trust Dembele in a really big game 1-on-1. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. But that's me. But and he's finishing is nearly every goal's the bloody same. When will these goalkeepers learn? Just cover that right hand post. Watch him put one in the inside post.
Yeah, he'll reverse it into the inside
him
post
do
tonight.
that.
We'll see.
The money splits for this game, I better mention it. But 56% of the money's on Liverpool. It's split right down the middle. 69% of the money on the over-under is on the under. The underbackers are still taking going in hard, relentless, absolutely relentless. There's been a big bet on Mo Salah, nearly $4,000 on Mo Salah to have over 0.5 shots on target for this game. So that's a really big. That's big for a player prop at this stage. In advance of the game. Got another massive match to talk about in Germany. Bayern Munich against Bayer Leverkusen. And I mean, I've got plenty to say about this game. Anyone who subscribes to the newsletter will know that this is my newsletter pick this week. It's in the to qualify market. Really like Bayer Leverkusen over 2 legs myself. The first leg, Bayern are now minus 129. They have been on the drift a bit in the last couple of hours. Bayer Leverkusen plus 350 and the ties at plus 275. Over 2.5 goals at minus 136. This is Vincent Kompany against Xabi Alonso. This is the rivalry now in Germany. Dortmund, Bayern seems to have gone out the window. The Red Bulls have gone. Well, where have they gone? Into nothing in this Champions League campaign. But yeah, this is the big clash. At this moment in time, Bayern have a rival. It might not last too long if Xabi Alonso moves on to pastures new. But right now, this is a really tasty one. And, I mean, for me, Bayern will win the Bundesliga. But for me, Leverkusen are as good as them on the day, definitely. So, I say for over the 2 legs for me, Leverkusen, I think they're really underrated tonight as well. I think there's going to be a tight game, Jack. But where are you on the Vincent Kompany sort of debate really at Bayern, because it was a surprising appointment? Do you think he's done well, or has he not won you over?
I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan. I thought, obviously, I saw him quite a lot at championship level in England, and he was with Burnley there and did exceptionally well. They played some great soccer, and I saw him in the flesh a couple of times, and they were really impressive, and their movement and the way he created space was really good. But he's obviously been with Pep for X amount of years. He's going to bring that, and he brought a side that had far better quality players playing at a lower level, and it showed, and they demolished that league. They then tried to do it the second season, as we saw in the Premier League, and he just couldn't do it with the players that he had. They were coming up against better players, more technically gifted players, better coaches, more resource, and they got found out. But the thing that probably annoyed me about him the most was that he just kept doing it. And the argument that's been levied at him, isn't it, is that he was all about his own stock rather than what he was going to do for Burnley. Could he keep him in the Premier League? He didn't seem to really have that much motivation to do that. All he wanted to do was show that he could play a really nice style of soccer. He could really get nice patterns of play and do all the kind of stuff that Pep was doing. And of course, Pep was at Bayern, and he was 7th or 8th choice there, wasn't he? Like Vincent Kompany
literally was.
there, I think.
Yeah, he literally was. It's no joke. We joke about it, but it's kind of true, really, sadly.
Yeah. And I think I was next on the list. I was a bit disappointed he took it in the end. But I think, generally speaking, me or yourself, anyone could make a good fist of Bayern Munich with the resource they've got in the Bundesliga. They obviously added Harry Kane to that mix, didn't they? You know, they've got some fantastic players, and they just go and steamroll opponents. And it's been a little bit not quite so convincing when it comes down to the Champions League this season, and also against the opponents tonight. And obviously the one good thing that we've got about this game tonight is we've got the direct form lines. We've got 2 German sides that have played each other several times. They've already played each other a couple of times this season. And we can use the Bundesliga form for this particular fixture. So, I'm with you. I'm siding with Leverkusen in this one. Xabi Alonso's done an incredible job there. He's developed some brilliant talent, some fantastic players. And as I said, I think they've been very much undervalued here. And it's a little bit like, he's unbeaten in 6, isn't he, against Bayern Munich. He's not lost to them since he's been by a Leverkusen manager. And I think that could continue tonight. But we're getting a very nice handicap for Leverkusen. I think they've been very much disrespected, to be fair, from what they've done. They've only lost to one German side since the start of last season, haven't they?
Listen, I think, I mean, you're referencing there the plus 0.75 Asian handicap by Leverkusen. I think it's a minus 127. And I agree with that. I'm actually going to go even more aggressive here. Draw double chance, which is plus money, which I think that's crazy. That Leverkusen are plus money to avoid defeat on the night. Plus 102 now. That would be my best bet of the day, actually. Leverkusen, absolutely. Very happy to have my money in Xabi Alonso's hands here. I think he's far superior to Vincent Kompany. Yeah. The difference between the two managers is that Alonso is very adaptable. He can change things up. He often has different game plans. He did that in the most recent head-to-head. Actually, didn't play a striker. Yeah. Spanish coaches can do that a bit. Vincent Kompany plays one way, which now don't get me wrong. If he gets it right, it's very, very good. And that's why I think they're a flat track bully, because when the golfing classes so much, his system is excellent. But honestly, how many genuine big games have Bayern Munich won this season in all competitions? And I think the answer for me is just one game. That was against PSG in November. Fair play that. But they didn't even beat Dortmund. They'd not beaten Leverkusen. 2 draws and a loss in the cup. In the Champions League, they were questionable. Really, I mean, the Celtic matches were not convincing for me, Jan. No, this is completely different.
Right. Villa beat them immediately at Villa Park. They beat them 1-0. Barcelona smashed them 4-1. So there's been lots of doubt about Bayern Munich in the Champions League this season. And they started off with, was it 9-2 or something ridiculous, wasn't it? They started the campaign and you thought, oh, it's just standard Bayern here. They're going to go and absolutely steamroller everyone and are one of the sides to watch out for. But they got beat 3-0 at Feyenoord, didn't they?
Also, Jack, why is the goal line at 2.75? I really like the under 2.75 goals. And I know why it's high, because both teams often get involved in a lot of high-scoring games. They've got a lot of offensive talent. But just look at the 3 times they face each other this season. They've been so tight. 1-1, 0-0, 1-0. Bayern have had, I think, just 5 shots on target in 3 matches against Leverkusen. So Alonso shuts them down.
Last time they met, Steve, they had 2 shots, let alone on target, 2 shots, and they expected goals of 0.05 against them. And, I say he's found a way. As you rightly said, he didn't play with a striker. He had 2 very, very good strikers. There's not as if it was because of Arsenal have got at the moment where they've got no fit strikers. He had the options there, kept them on the bench because he went with a plan to nullify Bayern Munich, and it worked a treat. And I say these games are generally low scoring. And you're right. The algorithms and everything will suggest that, it's Bayern Munich, it's Bayer Leverkusen. We saw it at the weekend. Again, goals galore. When they come together, it's a different story. And I think you see this in a few leagues where you've got the top 2 or 3 will win games 4, 5, 6 or 7 quite regularly over the course of the campaign. Then they come together and it suddenly becomes a lot tighter, and you can take advantage of the fact that everyone's going, they're an overs team. There's always goals in their games. Look at their averages. When they play together, it shuts down. And Xabi Alonso will look to shut Bayern Munich down tonight, and he'll have a system and he'll have a way of playing. And I'm with you. I went a little bit more aggressive. I went under 2.5 goals in this one at plus money. And that's another one I like. I said there was 2 unders I liked. The Inter one I mentioned already, and this is the second one. I like unders here.
This would not surprise me if it ended 0-0 or 1-1. I actually think both teams would sign for a draw right now. And both would believe in the second leg they could go through. I'm not having Leverkusen plus 125 to qualify. I think that's massive over 2 legs. Man for man, when everyone's fit, I think this is really close, 50-50 who would get in the best 11. I mean, it's so hard to compare because they play completely different systems. So it's really hard to compare. But Leverkusen have got a lot of talent in the squad. Leverkusen plus 3/4 of a goal for you. Draw double chance for me. That's my best bet of the night. Under 2.75 for me and under 2.5 goals lean for you. Just a quick one to prop bet. In the props market here, you've got a little nibble.
Yeah, something that really caught my eye was a specific attention. We've talked about Xabi Alonso's attention to detail and the game plans, and I think he's certainly gone Jamal Musiala, let's get into him. Let's get stuck in. Let's not allow him any time at all. Against Leverkusen, he's played in a false 9 position. He's played as a 10. He's played in different areas. And he's got the same treatment every time he's played him, certainly in the most recent games. So I don't know if there was a game where he kind of had it off and he completely ran it, possibly. And Alonso's gone, that's not happening this time round. So he's the one that it really drew my attention to. And as a result, the prop that I've gone for is over 13.5 total fouls conceded by Leverkusen. So that are fouls, obviously, that they give away. And that's plus 108. So I think that's a decent price. And I said it's the breakdown on Musiala, which is the key one in this. Last time they met, he was fouled 7 times by Leverkusen. Wow. And he was playing in the 10 role. 7, which, like I say, you don't really get those kind of numbers, do you? That's so absurd. I'll imagine they kind of took it in turns, but they 7 times. But that's not a one-off either, Steve. And this is the thing that really like kind of strikes a chord, is that in the previous game he was fouled 6 times. So maybe they're just trying to outdo themselves each time, but 6 times, and he was playing as a false 9 in that one. So even that didn't get him off the fact that they were going to get stuck in. And sometimes the striker can get a few soft fouls. So it's nice that in the different places that he's played, he's been getting the same treatment. So 7 then, 6 then, and prior to that, he was fouled 4, 5, and 2 times. So he does get fouled a lot. We can't play that as a single, unfortunately. So we go to the team prop on that. And as I said, over 13.5 total fouls conceded by Leverkusen at plus 108. I think you should get a run for that. And what better way to watch a game than cheering on people getting smashed?
Effie is saying over 4.5 cards is possible here as well. We've not mentioned referees yet. The early kickoff, we've got a Norwegian referee, averages about 2.5 cards per game. So we're not really expecting too many cards in that first match. In the PSG game, we've got Massa has been appointed the referee, the Italian ref. Really hard to predict referee, although 10 of his last 13 matches officiated have gone under 4.5 cards. He often gives out exactly 3 or 4 cards a game. He's very consistent that way. So the over-under line's difficult. Michael Oliver has been reeled out for this one. Bayern Munich versus Leverkusen. He does have a very high cards per game average, both in the Premier League and Champions League this season. It feels like he's involved in some sort of controversy every week as well. He cannot avoid
he's had a quiet year.
He just can't avoid the controversy. He wants a quiet game, but he never seems to get one. The card line is at 3.5, by the way, here. Mostly because both teams play pretty clean, I think. But you're adding
that foul count.
But we're in terms of cards, they're not the sort of they haven't got players that are going to like backchat the referee, get themselves a card for celebrating in the crowd like Brahim Diaz last night. But then you add in this referee to the mixer, who might want to make a statement. So I don't know. I wouldn't go under cards. I'll say that with Michael Oliver in the middle. No way. Because he can lose.
Well, at the moment, he's one to leave. As you say, he must be desperate to just avoid the headlines and have a quiet one, which would suggest he'd want to keep his cards in his pocket. But like I say, even getting involved in that at the weekend where someone had their head taken off and he had to go to the screen just to be double sure, while the bloke's picking his ear up off the penalty spot. It's like,
following him. It's just following him.
It's right, isn't it? Like, and they've just released the footage, haven't they? Or the script of what Arne Slot said to him in the Merseyside derby, where he was giving it the big licks to him and saying that he was going to, like, if they lost the league, it would be down to him. So, plus a few other choice words mixed into it as well. But, he's desperate for a quiet one, so maybe you'll get it tonight. We'll see. But give plenty of fouls, of course.
79% of the money is on Bayern Munich, but only 64% of the tickets. 54% of the money in the over-under market is on the under again. So the underbackers are really coming out here tonight, getting their money back from last night. We've got to move on to Benfica, Barcelona. The two teams, of course, met in the league phase. And that night, I remember I was on the show and I said, watch out, there's some big storms heading in the Lisbon area. This could be a surprising under candidate based on weather conditions. That was a bit way off, wasn't it, Jack? It turned into a ridiculous game. Wild clash. So, I mean, should we expect the same? Over 3.5 goals is at minus 103, which looks about fair to me. I can't see it not being high scoring. But I think the line is I don't really want to get involved with the goal line. Benfica, Barcelona. After my analysis last time, I'll let you lead with this.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Over 8.5 goals in this. It'll be interesting to see if we can play that one. But yeah, say quite often, isn't it, that you got you go, oh, they're playing each other again. This will be mad. I was actually on Benfica to win that one, and I thought I was home and host. They were like, that was like, wow, the goals just kept
Ooh, it's
coming. So
nasty.
yeah, it was pretty, but these things happen, don't they? So yeah, this is one that I think will put a dent into the goals line that we talked about earlier for the night. This is the one strong overs for me. I probably would play over 3.5 goals in it. Both sides just seem to scream goals. Obviously, they did meet in that league phase where it ended 5-4 somehow to Barcelona. And say when you look at Benfica's home games in the Champions League, 5 of the last 6 have seen at least 4 goals. So that trend, I think, could well continue here. And this one possibly could be a game state situation. If Benfica do grab a lead, you'd assume that they'd expect that they need to go and take an advantage to Barcelona. So if they go behind, then they're going to have to push, which could leave that very much open. If they get their noses in front, then they might want to batten down the hatches. But obviously they tried that last time and that didn't work out so well, did it? So we'll see. And you look at Barcelona, 9 of their last 11 Champions League games gone over 3.5 as well. So it does scream goals. And so I think it will put a dent into that line that we talked about earlier across the night. This one looks to me like having the most goals of any of the games. So if pushed, I'd go with the overplay in it. So I think Barcelona are just doing a good spot at the moment. And another great performance for them at the weekend. They're now back in sort of pole position for La Liga, aren't they? 15 games unbeaten, and so beating Real Sociedad 4-0 at the weekend, I think was a
Real Sociedad didn't even have a shot, did they? Someone said didn't have a single shot in the game. I don't know if that's actually accurate. I didn't look back, but that's absurd. You've got 2 bets for the game. One of them I do agree with, actually. I think Barcelona straight up to win. I think they're a lot better than Benfica. They're just not that good a side, really. I've been a bit worried about the Portuguese teams in general. I mean, Monaco, I thought outplayed them in Lisbon last time. If Monaco are outplaying you there, Barcelona definitely are. Things can get wild. -130 now, Barcelona. I'm kind of with you, actually, with the goals. I would play, I think, over 3.5. Barcelona just don't play to win 1-0 very often.
No.
Some teams in La Liga just park the bus and they do have to grind out a 2-0, 1-0 sometimes. But Benfica don't really feel like that sort of team to me at home. But you've got a really interesting player prop here. This looks great value, actually, based on a lot of different things. But it's regards a Benfica player.
Yeah. It's Vangelis Pavlidis is their main striker. He's had a fantastic Champions League campaign. He's someone that kind of come to my attention at the start of the tournament, to be honest. And at that point in time, it seems a long while ago, but at that point in time, you could back him to get a shot on target, and you were getting round about plus money, certainly around, so nothing worse than -110. That's long gone since he's contributed 9 goals in 10 appearances in the Champions League this season. He scored 7 goals and he's created 2 assists. So got a first half hat trick in that game we were talking about when these two sides met in the league phase as well. So you think this guy's in great form. Unfortunately, he's got 2 of his 2 assists came in games where he did score, so it's not kind of elongated the run. But he's been brilliant over the last 4 or 5 games in the Champions League. He's been super consistent. And the great thing with Bet Rivers is that we can take him to score or assist, and you get him plus money, plus 107. And I think Barcelona are there for conceding a goal or 2. And I think Pavlidis is the main man for that. And as I say, he's contributed a couple of assists as well. And he's got to be going into this with extreme confidence, having scored a first half hat trick against them when they met not too long ago. So, yeah, that would be a decent lean for me to go take him on that. And obviously the other man, you got to look at Lewandowski as far as Barcelona is concerned. He's just been, again, he's had a stellar Champions League campaign. Even at his age, he's obviously got a lot of talent around him, young lads around him, doing a lot of running for him, doing a lot of the hard work, and he's putting it on a plate for him, and he's scoring plenty of goals. And he generally scores 2 when he scores 1 in his competitions this season, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think that's a good play because Barcelona are sucking teams into shootouts. They don't mind winning matches 4-2, 4-3. They'll just back their own scoring power. They're not bothered about keeping clean sheets. So I think that, this guy hit a hat-trick last time against them. There's a house special. We mentioned Lewandowski there. Robert Lewandowski or Lamine Yamal to score the first goal in this game is at plus 175. If you like either of those to get on the score sheet first. Simon agrees about the last game, Benfica Monaco. Yeah, if that same version of Benfica turns up here, Barcelona could run riot, really. The only way to keep pace with them is by scoring goals yourself. So, this does look like it should be a wild game. We like Barcelona there. We're liking the goals and Pavlidis there with the prop play. 84% of the money's on Barcelona. And for once, 76% of the money's on the over. So that actually makes a lot of sense to me. I think even the underbackers are not getting involved here too often. Watch this be a 0-0 now. But again, rain is forecasted just like last time, by the way. Rain and 14 degrees. For some reason, I think the Iberian Peninsula has been unusually wet this week. Again, that might play into the goal scoring hands. I'm going to let you think about your best bet of the day before I talk some tennis, because Nigel, I've been in touch with Nigel today, and I've got to promote the two tennis shows we've got from Indian Wells, a massive tournament out there. As big a tournament in tennis you have outside the Grand Slams. So we've got Game Bet and Match with Sean and Nigel. We've got the WTA show with Nigel and Rory. So do check those out. But in terms of the women's games, we've got 4 matches here, which we're going to, I've got some plays for 3 from Nigel and 1 from Rory. So keep your ears pricked. First game here is Caroline Garcia against Bernarda Pera. The bet is going to be on Pera. This is what Nigel said. Pera leads 3-0 in the head-to-head. Garcia is not playing very well at all and has lost 5 of her last 6 matches. The conditions are slow, which is not ideal for her. Pera isn't in great form either, but the head-to-head and in the slow conditions, Nigel thinks that Bernarda Pera is a spot of value there at plus 102. I can tell you that 86% of the money is actually on Garcia for this game, but Nigel's going against that money with the underdog. Second game down the right-hand side there, this is Jule Niemeier against Montgomery, and he said it's a 50-50 game, but he is edging towards Niemeier here. She's more experienced and has the benefit of playing 2 qualification matches already. That could be crucial here, and it's had 2 really good wins in qualifying, especially the last win, which was against a decent player in winning 6-4, 6-3. So Jule Niemeier could be potentially a spot of value here. In that match, the third game, Petra Kvitova against Varvara Gracheva. Some interesting comments here from Nigel. Kvitova has just come back after a baby break and doesn't look anywhere near the player she was. That's very interesting to me. Indian Wells is slow, and that doesn't suit Kvitova either. She's won in Miami 2 years ago. That's going to be a priority on comeback, and the conditions will suit her a lot better there. She's not won a tour match since October 2023. So that is interesting. Gracheva there, minus 107, could be an interesting option here in Indian Wells. So those 3 from Nigel. And then Rory Jiwani, the WTA handicapper, and our winter sports handicapper, is he's got this match here. Renata Zarazua against Elisabetta Cocciaretto. I think you pronounced that one, Jack. He thinks that the slow surface will suit the Mexican underdog here, Zarazua. Plus 133 with Bear Rivers. And most important thing about this match is that Cocciaretto hasn't won a hard court match this year. 0-3 on hard court. So Renata Zarazua there could be a very good underdog play. So, some interesting thoughts there on the tennis from Nigel and Roy. Check out the shows. Like I said, it's a really big one in Indian Wells, and there's going to be a lot of content. Also, follow the Instagram account because Sean Calvert is out there in person, and he's always a good watch on Instagram, isn't he? He's Sean. But yeah, before we go, best bet of the day for you, Jack. Which one are you going with? There's several that you've come up with.
Mate, do you know what? I was thinking long and hard about that, and there are 2 or 3 that I really like, and I've gone with one that was a bit of a last minute addition in the end. I've kind of talked myself into the fact of over 3.5 goals in Benfica Barcelona at minus 104. Yeah, I am. The weather forecast hasn't put me off. I think
Probably helps.
I'm worried about the history going like looking for repeat does concern me, and so there's a lot of the other ones I like, but I'm going to go with that one for the public to cheer on.
Yeah, I am putting my eggs in the Xavi Alonso basket. Double chance Leverkusen plus 102. That's my best bet. I've got a lot invested in them in this tie, so you better not let me down here. Paula Good, just a question that I said Nigel is edging towards Niemeier in that match there, Jule Niemeier. So that's the edge that Nigel's been given. But put your comments there about the which club you support of. I'm going to look back all these later on, and we've had loads of different clubs that people are supporting out.
How about this one? Simon's predicting a hat trick tonight from someone, but who's going to be? Who's your pick?
Well, I've got to go in a match where I think there's goals. So, crikey. I think it's got to be that Barcelona-Benfica game. Let's say Lewandowski gets the hat. I can't say Dembele, can I? So, who's your hat trick?
I was going to say the same, weirdly enough. So, that's... let's go double up. Let's go double up on Lewandowski. The old boys, going to do the business.
Jack, that was a lot of fun. Brilliant.
Enjoyed that, mate.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. And hopefully we can get a few winners on the board tonight. Good luck, whatever you are taking. It's been some great comments through the chat. Definitely a couple of matches split down the middle. So some of us are going to win and some of us are going to lose. And remember, the first match kicks off in 45 minutes time. That is in Rotterdam, Feyenoord against Inter. We don't like many goals there. Both teams score. No, that was the play from Jack in the first game. But until Friday, Jack, back on again.
Oh, yeah, we're back again.
Yeah,
we're back
Friday
again.
Fever with Steve and Jack. So
start your weekend in style.
I will be back on tomorrow with James Eastham, and we're going to be going through the Europa League and Conference League, every match as usual. It's a busy week on Betting Weekly Live. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and remember to gamble responsibly. We'll see you next time.